G'day guys, Flint here from Backyard Blasters. Thanks for dropping by and tuning in for this video. We're doing a review of a rubber band gun. It's packed in a box here. Let's see what we've got. We've got a lot of rubber bands, a lot. Gee, that must be like at least 50, maybe even probably 100 rubber bands in there. We've got 3 targets there. And then we have the rubber band gun, and this is no ordinary rubber band gun, because you know what I say, guys. Well, here at Backyard Blasters, you know, I'm looking for the cool stuff, the quirky. Well, maybe quirky is not the right word. We're looking for the cool stuff, you know, the cool kind of toy guns that are out there, or any type of gun really. That's kind of cool, but mainly toy guns. And this is it. This is a compact, foldable rubber band gun, and it is the material. Gee, what is it? It's a very nice metal. Is it gosh, I'm not actually sure what type of metal it's made out of. It slips my mind for some reason. Die cast, that's what it is. So there it is, very snazzy. This is it folded up. Now, when we unfold this, hopefully the camera is picking it up, because it might be a bit dark, but for you to see. But it's a bronze color. It's a bronze colored die cast, and folded out. That's what it looks like. So it looks like an actual, somewhat like a gun. Gives you that somewhat shape of a handgun. And then to collapse it back to that. So very simple. It's a pretty simple design, but it works. So let's go over its features. How's that? Just check, make sure. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see the bronze sort of color to it. We've got the iron sight at the front. Well, this is an iron sight, but it's also what the rubber band loops around. As you'll see, just here, the rubber band actually goes on and back, and then it locks back. And now we're ready to shoot. Boom. So the iron sight, that's also what the rubber band goes on. So iron sight at the front, rubber band mounting point, I guess we also call it. Got like a cool grill here, some lines here, two screws actually. All the flatheads are on this side, but they're flatheads, so you can actually undo this, which is pretty cool. The more options you give your customer, you know, the more options you give people to modify, I think the better. I think it's good. People should be able to customize and modify their items. I think that's a good idea. Why not? It's lets you be creative. So that's the screw there. Got the rest of the part that makes up the iron sight running back here to the wheel, which is what the rubber bands go on. Got the trigger here, a star, the hand grip, and this is a nice texture here, and a triangle cut out at the bottom where you could put a sling through it. At the back, there's just a nice spot there for your hand to fit. It's very comfortable, very comfortable. I think it would fit most adults, most kids. It's not too big for most kids. Being a metal heavy toy, I wouldn't recommend little kids playing this with this sort of thing, because they could very easily hurt themselves. Not with the rubber bands necessarily, although that could happen too. But just metal is it's a lot harder than plastic, obviously, and so they may injure themselves with it. So I wouldn't recommend this for young kids. You know, we're talking kids that are like under 6 years old. So I think on the other side, yeah, you've got just the screw ports. That's the only thing that changed from that side. The trigger, no trigger guard. That's cool. I kind of like that. I like how there's no trigger guard there. Hand fits comfortably in there. Nothing's rubbing against my hand. You can see this little bit that moves back, which is what releases the wheel. that doesn't impede my hand, or my hand can just fit under that. So I don't know whether that would affect some people. If you had a really big hand, it might, but I think it's all right. It's pretty tucked under there. So trigger, this is a commonality with most cap guns. Because the design's very simple, well, I don't know if it's because the design's simple, but they sometimes do have problems with the trigger releasing, because sometimes if there's a lot of pressure on the wheel, so say we load up 4 rubber bands, we pull the trigger, it can skip a number of the pegs on the wheel. So it shoots, you know, so when we pull the trigger, it might pass 2 pegs instead of just 1. So it will shoot 2 rubber bands instead of just 1. And when I test fired this a while back, and when I test fired this, it had that issue. When you loaded up more than like 4 rubber bands, it would just be so much tension that it would sometimes skip. But I've seen this with other rubber band guns, so I think it's an inherent issue with the system of the wheel and the trigger. Perhaps not all rubber band guns have that issue, but I can't think of one I've tried where I put on a lot of rubber bands and it hasn't skipped. Because it's just so much, the force of the rubber bands is so much that, yeah, it just skips a bunch of the pins at the same, pegs at the same time. So hopefully I'm making clear what I'm trying to explain here. So instead of when you pull the trigger once, it rotates 1, instead it will do a couple with 1 trigger pull. And I'll demonstrate that with the rubber bands. Oh, that's a frog you can hear in the background. It's an Australian frog of some sort. Pretty sure, I mean, it's likely a tree frog, green tree frog. There was one in the bathroom last night. Okay, so I've loaded up 4. Now 5. So we got 5 on there. Now when I pull the trigger, you'll see it will likely skip a couple, so it'll shoot off 2 or 3 instead of 1. So we'll see. Oh, so it just shot 3 at the same time. So that's the issue I was explaining, because it's got so much pressure on the wheel. But now we've only got 2 bands, so I think it'll single shot these. Oh no, it did them both. It could also be the fact that when the trigger's held back, it just keeps going. But I mean, it really should only, you pull it once and it can only move once, but when it's just got that much pressure, it just keeps going. But it fires them well, and we'll try with some of these targets. Put one there. Cock it back. Yeah, well, where I live, I am not not close at all to where all these big fires are happening, because you probably, a few of you guys might have heard, most likely, because it's been on, I think, quite a bit of international news. There's been some smoke down south, bit of a blaze going up, and so that's not up in the north, which is where I am, which is a lot wetter, which is probably why we haven't, had the big fires that they had down south. But it's it's tragic what's happening. Oh, this ceiling fan is blowing the. Okay, here we go. Go for the one on the right. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna need the one on the right, and then the left. Yeah, okay, and I was shooting from like a meter away. I just moved back a bit. But most rubber bands, they seem to shoot. They'll go for about. Oh, now that time it actually shot 1, and then it shot 1. It didn't shoot them both, and then I've still got the last shot there. Now, what I've noticed with most rubber bands, guys, is that the fan blew it over again. what I've noticed with most rubber bands is that rubber bands will travel about 10 meters or a bit less straight, and then they just suddenly drop. So I think that's a common thing between all rubber band guns, because I don't think you can, there's like a limit where rubber bands can just not go any further, and I think that is about 10 meters. And so this shoots very much the same. Yeah, it'll go for about a bit less than 10 meters, and then they drop. So the range of these is around 10 meters. There's no lock or anything, you have to press to fold it, you just simply push it in with your fingers and then it's closed. Weight, I'm not sure, it'd be a few hundred grams, maybe 3, 4, probably 300 grams. Pointy bits, you've just got the wheel, although that's pretty smooth. The sharpest bit will be the iron side, the bit where the rubber band goes on the end. That's a bit sharp. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Very cool little novel item. It's fun to play around with. Okay guys, well that completes this review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.